Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why lions don't roar while hunting. They move in silence, eyes locked on the prey, steps calculated, heart steady. Because the real work, the real battle happens in the dark before the world even knows what's coming. That's the mindset of a champion. That's the power of grinding in silence. Too many people want applause before the performance. They want recognition before they've put in the sweat. They post every small effort, hoping for validation, hoping for someone to notice. But success doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being relentless when no one's watching. It's about getting up before the sun rises, putting in the extra reps, studying when others are sleeping, sacrificing temporary pleasure for permanent greatness. The world only sees the results, never the process. They see the bodybuilder flexing, but not the years of pain under heavy iron. They see the millionaire living large, but not the sleepless nights, the failed attempts, the sacrifices. They see the superstar shining, but not the lonely hours of practice, the rejection, the setbacks. The truth is, if you want to be unstoppable, you have to learn to embrace the grind in silence. Let your actions speak so loudly that when you finally arrive, no words are needed. Let your success make the noise. You don't need to announce every move because the work will show. The results will be undeniable. And when that moment comes, when the world finally recognizes what you built, they will think it happened overnight. But you will know. You will remember the sweat, the struggle, the discipline. And that satisfaction, that's worth more than any applause. So stop seeking approval. Stop craving attention. Lock in, focus, sacrifice, grind. And when it's time to step into the light, they won't just see you, they'll feel you. Because true greatness is built in silence, but it echoes for a lifetime. There's a reason why the greatest warriors, the most successful minds, and the legends we admire all have one thing in common. They do the real work when no one is watching. The world only sees the medals, the victories, the moments of glory, but what they don't see is the blood, the sweat, the silent hours of discipline when there's no crowd, no applause, no recognition. And that's where success is truly built. Too many people want the world to know they're working before they've even started. They post about their goals, their plans, their dreams, hoping for likes, for approval, for someone to say, you got this. But here's the truth. Success doesn't come from talking. It comes from doing. The grind is not meant to be broadcasted. It's meant to be endured in silence. While others are showing off their potential, the real winners are sharpening their craft in the dark. A lion doesn't announce its hunt. It moves in silence, patient, focused, deadly. The moment it roars is after the kill. That's the mindset you need. Work so hard in the shadows that when you finally step into the light, they won't ask for explanations. They'll just know. Because true greatness doesn't need a press release. It doesn't beg for attention. It commands IT. When you grind in silence, you eliminate distractions. No outside noise, no opinions, no unnecessary pressure, just you, your goal, and the work. There's a power in keeping your moves to yourself because the fewer people who know your plan, the less they can interfere. The world doesn't need to know your struggles. It doesn't need to see the early mornings, the long nights, the moments of doubt. All it needs to see is the result, the undeniable proof of what you built in the dark. So lock in. Focus work like no one is watching. Because in reality, no one is. And when the time is right, when you finally step forward, the world won't just see you, they'll feel you. Because success built in silence is success that lasts forever. Too many people are chasing approval instead of chasing greatness. They want to be seen grinding before they've even put in the real work. They post their plans, talk about their goals, and wait for the world to applaud them before they've actually done anything. But success doesn't come from validation. It comes from discipline, from sacrifice, from pushing forward even when no one is clapping for you. If you need someone to recognize your effort just to keep going, you'll never make it to the top. Because the journey to success is lonely. There won't always be encouragement. There won't always be people cheering you on. Some days, no one will believe in you but you. And that's when it matters the most, when there's no one to impress, no audience to watch, just you and the grind. The problem with seeking validation is that it makes you dependent on other people's opinions. And the truth is, most people don't want to see you win. Some will doubt you. Some will secretly hope you fail. Some will give you just enough praise to keep you comfortable, but not enough to push you to the next level. That's why you have to learn to move in silence. When you stop craving approval, you take back control. You become dangerous because now you're working for something bigger than recognition. You're working for results. Think about the greatest success stories, the ones who changed the game, didn't waste time looking for validation. They worked in the shadows. They stayed focused, stayed locked in, ignored the noise. And when they finally stepped forward, the world had no choice but to acknowledge him. That's the difference between those who talk and those who achieve. So stop looking for permission to be great. Stop waiting for someone to notice you. Get in the trenches, put in the work, keep your head down, keep grinding. And when the time is right, let your success be so undeniable that the same people who ignored you will have no choice but to respect you. The real battle isn't fought in front of the crowd. It's fought in the lonely hours, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. That's where champions are made. When the world is asleep, when distractions are gone, when there's no applause, no validation, just you and the work, that's when it matters the most. Everybody wants success, but very few are willing to put in the work when there's no immediate reward. They want the results, but they don't want the process. They want the spotlight, but they don't want to grind in the dark. That's why so many people fall short, because they only work hard when someone is watching, when someone is keeping score. But the truth is, real growth happens when no one is looking, when you're in the gym before sunrise, when you're studying late into the night, when you're working on your craft while others are out partying. The difference between winners and everybody else is simple. Winners don't need an audience to be great. They don't need motivation from outside sources. They don't need someone checking in to make sure they're working. They have discipline. They have focus. They know that the work done in private will eventually show in public. Think about the best in the world, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the visionaries. They didn't get there by showing off every step of their journey. They got there because they put in the hours behind closed doors. Because they understood that what you do when no one is watching is exactly what determines what the world will see when it finally does. So stop waiting for recognition. Stop working for approval. Train, study, hustle like your future depends on it, because it does. Do the hard work in the shadows, and one day when you step into the light, the world won't just see the results. They'll feel the presence of someone who was built in silence, someone who was forged in the grind, someone who doesn't just talk about greatness, but lives it. Stop announcing every move. Stop telling the world what you're going to do, because the truth is, talking about success doesn't create success, work does. Plans mean nothing without execution. Dreams mean nothing without discipline. You don't need to prove to anyone that you're grinding. You just need to grind out. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. Real power, real success doesn't need to be advertised. It's felt, it's undeniable. When you're truly locked in, when you're focused on the process, you don't have time to seek attention. You're too busy building, too busy perfecting your craft, too busy outworking everybody else. And when the results finally come, they will speak for themselves. People waste so much energy trying to convince others they're doing something big. They post every workout, every late night hustle, every step of the process as if they need the world's approval to keep going. But the ones who actually make it, they move differently. They work in silence. They let their actions do the talking. They show up early, stay late, put in the extra reps, and never once do they stop to ask, did anyone notice? The greatest in the game don't have to announce their grind, because their success is proof enough. When you walk into a room with a true champion, you feel their presence before they even say a word. That's because their work ethic, their dedication, their commitment is so deeply ingrained in who they are that the results speak louder than anything they could ever say. So don't tell them what you're going to do. Don't seek validation. Just work. Work when no one is watching. Work when no one believes in you. Work when no one is clapping for you. And one day when you step into the light, when you finally reveal what you've been building in silence, the world won't just see you, they'll respect you. Because true success doesn't need to be announced. It simply demands attention. Most people want success, but they're not willing to give up what's holding them back. They want to be great, but they don't want to sacrifice their comfort, their distractions, their bad habits. That's why so many never reach their full potential, because they choose short-term pleasure over long-term greatness. But if you truly want to win, you have to be willing to let go of what's easy and commit to what's necessary. Sacrificing temporary pleasure means giving up sleep when others are resting, saying no to parties when others are celebrating, skipping distractions when others are wasting time. It means putting in the extra hours, making the hard choices, and understanding that nothing great comes without struggle. Success isn't handed out. It's earned through discipline, through consistency, through the silent work that no one sees. The world is full of people who started strong but gave up when things got tough. They wanted results, but they weren't willing to suffer for them. They weren't willing to trade their comfort for their future. But the ones who make it, they understand that every sacrifice is an investment. Every early morning, every late night, every moment of pain is building something greater. Think about the legends, the game changers, the people who rewrote history. They all had to sacrifice. They all had to make hard choices. While others were enjoying the moment, they were preparing for the future. While others were living for today, they were building something that would last forever. And when the time came, when the world finally saw what they had been working on, it was undeniable. You have a choice. You can settle for temporary pleasure, for quick satisfaction, for a life of mediocrity. Or you can sacrifice now, grind in silence, and create a future so powerful that no one can ignore it. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pride of success lasts forever. Make the hard choice today so you can live the life you deserve tomorrow. People love to celebrate success, but they rarely acknowledge the struggle that came before it. They see the championship trophy, but they don't see the countless hours in the gym. They see the millionaire, but they don't see the years of sacrifice and failure. They see the overnight sensation, but they don't see the decades of work that went unnoticed. That's the reality of success. It's built in the dark long before the world ever sees the light. The problem is, too many people want the rewards without the process. They want the applause without the effort. They look at successful people and think they got lucky without realizing that luck had nothing to do with it. What they don't see are the sleepless nights, the self-doubt, the failures, the moments when quitting seemed like the only option. So what they don't see is the grind, the pain, the discipline that separates the winners from the ones who give up. If you're waiting for the world to notice your struggle, you'll be waiting forever. Nobody claps for the person working in silence. Nobody cheers for the late night hustle, the early morning grind, the sacrifices that go unseen. But that's exactly where success is born, in the moments when no one is watching, when no one believes in you, when it's just you and the work dot. The ones who make it understand this. They don't work for recognition. They don't grind for approval. They push forward day after day, knowing that one day their results will speak for themselves. And when that moment comes, when the world finally sees what you've been building, they will think it happened overnight. But you will know. You will remember the years of struggle, the quiet sacrifices, the moments of doubt that you fought through. And that feeling, that's worth more than any applause. So stop looking for people to notice your effort. Stop waiting for someone to validate your grind. Put your head down, get to work, and trust the process, because the world only sees the success, but you will know the story behind it. And that's what makes the journey worth it. Success isn't about how hard you work when you feel like it. It's about how hard you work when you don't. It's about showing up every single day, whether you're motivated or not, whether people are watching or not, whether you're getting results or not. Because success doesn't belong to the most talented, the most gifted, or the most fortunate. It belongs to the most consistent. Most people start strong, but they don't last. They get excited about the grind for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, but the moment it gets tough, the moment they stop feeling inspired, they slow down. They tell themselves, I'll get back to it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week turns into next year, and before they know it, they're back to square one. Not because they weren't capable, but because they weren't disciplined. Discipline means showing up no matter what. It means putting in the work when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you feel like quitting. It means waking up early when you'd rather sleep in, studying when you'd rather relax, practicing when no one is forcing you to. It means understanding that the grind doesn't care about your feelings. The grind only cares about your effort. That every great success story is built on discipline. The best athletes, the top entrepreneurs, the greatest minds in history, none of them relied on motivation. They relied on habits. They created routines that made success inevitable. While others were making excuses, they were executing. While others were talking about what they were going to do, they were already doing it. And that's why when the moment came, they were ready. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your discipline. The question is, can you keep going when no one is clapping? Can you grind in silence day after day, trusting that the work you put in will eventually pay off? Because if you can, there's nothing that can stop you. If you stay locked in, stay disciplined, stay committed, you will win. Not because you got lucky, not because you had talent, but because you refused to quit. You don't need to announce your progress. You don't need to convince anyone that you're working. Because when you truly commit to the grind, when you stay locked in and focused, the results will be so undeniable that people won't need to hear about it. They'll see it. They'll feel it. They'll know that. The problem is most people are too busy talking about what they're going to do instead of just doing it. They want recognition before they put in the effort. They want to be noticed before they've built anything. But success doesn't work like that. You don't earn respect by telling people what you're working on. You earn respect by showing up every single day and letting your results do the talking. But think about the greatest in any field, the best athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the legends who changed the game. They didn't waste time trying to prove themselves with words. They proved themselves with work. They put in the hours when nobody was watching. They stayed committed when no one believed in them. And when the moment came for them to shine, they didn't have to explain anything. The results spoke for themselves. That's the power of grinding in silence. When you're locked in, when you're fully committed to your goals, you don't have time to seek approval. You're too busy working. You're too busy building. You're too busy becoming. And by the time people realize what you've been up to, it'll be too late for them to doubt you. So stop announcing your every move. Stop looking for validation. Just work. Work like your future depends on it, because it does. Keep grinding, keep pushing, keep sacrificing. And when your time comes, when you step into the light, they won't just see the results. They'll feel the weight of everything you built in the dark. And that right there is what makes success undeniable. The greatest impact is never made by the one who talks the most. It's made by the one who works the hardest. The one who grinds in silence, stays disciplined, and moves with purpose, because true greatness isn't about noise. It's about results. It's about walking into a room and commanding respect without saying a word. It's about achieving so much that your success becomes impossible to ignore, that most people chase recognition. They want credit for the effort before they've even finished the race. They want to be noticed, acknowledged, and praised while they're still in the process of becoming. But the ones who truly win, they don't chase attention, they chase mastery. They put their heads down, block out the noise, and work. Not for likes, not for claps, not for validation, but for the legacy they're building. When you grind in silence, you develop a different level of focus. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop looking for approval. You stop waiting for someone to tell you you're on the right path, because you don't need reassurance when you know the work you're putting in is real. You don't need confirmation when you're moving with purpose. The world only remembers those who finish the job. No one talks about the people who almost made it, the ones who had potential but never followed through. They remember the ones who stayed committed, the ones who kept pushing, the ones who showed up every day and refused to quit. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. When your time comes, when you finally step forward, your work will speak for itself. No explanations needed, no words necessary, because success built in silence is success that lasts forever. Keep grinding, keep building, keep going, because when the results show up, the world won't just notice, they'll never forget. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one question: how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to change your life? How bad do you want to reach the next level? Because if you truly want it, if you are serious about success, then you can't afford to be distracted by opinions, validation, or temporary applause. You have to be locked in, fully committed, and willing to embrace the process, even when no one is watching. Grinding in silence isn't just about working hard. It's about developing a mindset where you don't need recognition to keep going. It's about building yourself in the dark so that when the world finally sees you, they have no choice but to respect what you become. The strongest, the most unstoppable, the truly great, none of them needed to prove themselves with words. Their work did all the talking. So make a decision right now. Stop chasing approval. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now, start where you are. Put in the work when it's hard. Stay disciplined when no one believes in you. Keep pushing forward when the results don't come fast enough. Because the journey is never about who starts, it's about who finishes. And the ones who finish, they are the ones who understood that real power is built in silence. When your time comes, you won't need to explain yourself. You won't need to prove anything. Your success will speak so loud that the same people who ignored you, doubted you, and underestimated you will have no choice but to acknowledge what you built. And by then, you won't even need their recognition, because you'll know that everything you have, everything you've become, was earned through sacrifice, discipline, and an unshakable commitment to the grind. So keep working, keep building, keep grinding in silence, because when the moment is right, the world will see, and they won't just see success. They'll see the result of someone who refused to quit, someone who didn't need validation, someone who was made in the dark and built for greatness,